Good morning upon you. How's it going? It's election day. It's Tuesday, November 5th at 8:26 in the morning here in western Iowa where the rain is coming down. It's really quite beautiful. It's been raining all night. It's been great. And the rain's going to end this morning and things will clear up by late afternoon and it's going to be a cool day, kind of average. So we need the rain and we've been getting rounds of it as we've been talking about. And rounds of rain still happening. Wait till you see West Texas coming up this weekend. Wow. Also, Tropical Storm Rafael is out there. We'll talk about that. Cowabunga dude. Oh, that's Michelangelo. And then we do have an active pattern still through the middle of the month. So we'll go through all of it starting right now. All right. Here's your weather spotlight. Severe weather yesterday. A few tornadoes there in Oklahoma into northwestern Arkansas, and one little tornado up there by St. Louis in Missouri. And then we do see some hail reports as well, some wind reports as well. But those tornadoes dotting along there in Oklahoma into Arkansas. It could have been worse. We certainly had a threat for even big tornadoes. So all in all, I would say it underperformed, which is probably good news. All right, let's get into the hazards for today. Where will there be tornadoes? Well, we'll cover that here in just a second because there is a slight risk in a couple areas. But still very active weather, especially in the west. You look up towards Oregon and Washington, we've got some wind issues here. We also have some winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings. More wind for California, red flag warnings up and down the coast. A little bit of some wind advisories thrown in there as well, including Las Vegas. You get into, let's see, what's the blue there in Nevada, California, Arizona is a freeze watch. So again, that big dip in the jet stream in the west is bringing that cold air down south. So there you go, New Mexico, freeze warnings for the southwestern part of the state. And up, we have winter weather advisories through the center and northern part of the state. Winter weather advisories for Colorado. Let's see, what else do we have? More wind in Wyoming, more winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana. We've got some fog in the Dakotas. Yesterday's storms and today's storms and rain. Flash flood warnings for parts of Arkansas and Missouri. Also flood watches and flood warnings there. Wind, an issue for Illinois, Indiana with wind advisories, so be advised, there'll be some wind. Fog in North Carolina. And there in the Keys, what is that? A blizzard warning? No, it's a different pink. Oh, tropical storm watch. Rafael is coming. And here it is on our map. So right now, tropical storm south of Cuba. And as we get into tomorrow afternoon, hurricane hitting western Cuba, emerging on the other side as a hurricane, affecting the Keys. That's your tropical storm warnings there. The hurricane well offshore, so the hurricane force winds out in the Gulf. And as we get into early Saturday morning, the Hurricane Rafael weakens back to a tropical storm. And we'll see where it makes landfall. The biggest threat's going to be, some tropical storm force winds probably as we end the weekend, but increased moisture for the southeast. So we'll keep an eye on Rafael. Let's take a look at Rafael and other things going on in our GFS model starting out this morning. Here's my rain overnight in western Iowa, eastern Nebraska. Here's your line of storms, some severe. Moving out of Oklahoma into Arkansas, into Missouri. This is why we still have flash flood watches and warnings here, or flood watches and warnings. Even some strong storms outside of Chicago, raining in Michigan, lighter stuff further east, and then our unsettled weather in the west with the snow. That's how we're starting this morning. As we go through the day, our line of showers and storms moving eastward, our low lifting northward, clearing skies here. Rain moving into the Great Lakes, and then snow in the northwest. This gets us to midnight tonight as our heavier storms moving into Kentucky, southern Indiana, into Ohio now as we get into tomorrow. Snow heading southward So our big trough in the west is still a big trough in the west, and it's digging further south, and it's not going anywhere. Like I said, wait till you see West Texas this weekend. All right, here comes Rafael spreading moisture into Florida and the southeast. And then we see some cold air here through the southern Rockies now, and that's going to cool off West Texas too. And then here comes Rafael emerging into view. This gets us into Wednesday night at midnight-ish. And as we go through time, hurricane, 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 and then weakening. But look at West Texas. Let me back up again because I wanted to show the hurricane. But as we get into, what is that? Thursday morning, snow for parts of the Texas Panhandle, even down to Clovis in eastern New Mexico, and certainly down into the Sacramento Mountains where they've had already snow and ski Apache, more coming. Ski season's getting started. And it's rain for much of Texas. And then, of course, here's Rafael. And so watching West Texas now, you see more snow and then like near Clayton, New Mexico, up into, what am I thinking of? Dumas, maybe. I don't know if it'll be that far south. And then rain for much of the state, even into Kansas. And then it just persists. It's another round as we get into Friday. Here comes Rafael, by the way. Heavy rain into Oklahoma. They had a bunch of rain yesterday. They're going to get more. Kansas, bunch of rain. Into Missouri. More rain for Texas as we get into Friday. Here comes Rafael, more moisture for the southeast. And then more rain and snow for the Texas Panhandle, into Oklahoma, into Kansas. Now it's starting to lift. The low lifts into the plains as we get into late Friday, early Saturday. Once again, I have moved the mouse over this area here, and I didn't want to do that. So where were we? Oh, yeah. We had rain in Kansas, lifting northward into Iowa and Nebraska as we start the weekend. Rafael weakening and making landfall somewhere in the southeast, spreading moisture there. Heavy rainfall for all the way from Mississippi to Tennessee, into Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, maybe into Iowa, up into the Great Lakes. Lighter rain, Nebraska, western Iowa, and our next storm system for the Pacific Northwest just in time for the weekend. So as we get further through the weekend, this gets us into Sunday now, our low lifting into the Great Lakes. Lots of rain here for Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, moving into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Unsettled snow in the Northwest as that pattern continues. The low lifts through the Great Lakes as we get through Sunday. Some light snow through the Rockies. And then as the weekend ends, most of the rain does for the east and most of the snow in the Rockies. But here comes another system for the Pacific Northwest on Veterans Day, the 11th. And that's taken kind of the southern route through California, spreading rain and high elevation snows, U2, Nevada, into Idaho. That's snow for the Treasure Valley of Idaho and the Gem State. Boise might see its first snowfall. Very exciting. At least I think it would be the first snowfall. Snow into Utah. I mean, just a lot of snow in the west again. And ski areas really getting ready for ski season. Another system behind that one as we get too far out. Watch this low here, though. It's going to head straight north. And blizzard conditions probably. A little bit of snow there for central Nebraska. But as it gets cranking, look at all this wind around this low on the 14th, if this comes true exactly. And then that changes to snow on the backside for the Dakotas and probably blizzard conditions. So could be our first blizzard of the year. Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, and then moving up into Canada as that goes. And another system behind that. And look how active in the mid-Atlantic now as we get to the 15th. So we're not leaving out the East Coast completely. And then another system moving into the Pacific Northwest. Cold air dropping into the northern plains, and things start to quiet down a little bit as we get into the 18th, but another round of showers and storms for the Great Lakes into the northeast, and more unsettled weather for the west coast, and another round of rain here in Iowa into the upper Midwest. And look at this mess in the west, just cold for California, snow in the mountains, rain lower elevations. And that would go for pretty much the entire eastern third of the West. This gets us to the 21st of November. So that was fun. So let's go back to our forecast starting today with the surface map, and it looks like this. Here's your severe weather along the Mississippi River. Otherwise, it's scattered showers and storms for much of the eastern half of the country, not quite all the way to the East Coast. And then for the west, it's our unsettled snow, so rain or snow depending on location and elevation, with some heavy snow up there in pockets in Montana and maybe Wyoming and a little bit for Oregon. Severe wise, there is your severe weather threat along the Mississippi River, say from Memphis down south. And then another little pocket there in Wisconsin. Just a marginal risk, but could see a couple severe storms here. And yeah, even some tornadoes. There's a 2% risk from Houston to almost through Shreveport, maybe Baton Rouge included, and then up into Memphis, Vicksburg, along the Mississippi River, and a 2% up there for Wisconsin as well. Temperature-wise, cold west in Texas, warm east. And the highs look like this. A lot of 70s still, even 80s for the southeast. So, wow, really warm. 70s to near 80 for the mid-Atlantic. We even see some 80s there in West Virginia, into central Ohio, surrounded by some 70s there. So quite warm for the east. For the west, it's the opposite. The Rockies are cold, colder than average, and we have 60s for highs for much of West Texas, for example. Low temperatures, yeah, cold west, warm east. Again, that trough is dug in through the west and the center part of the country. And so that's where the cold air is, and then warmer east. That's what we're seeing. Surface for tomorrow. Things do progress a little further to the east, and here comes Hurricane Rafael into the picture around Cuba. And again, we have the severe storms possible for the Florida Keys, also into Georgia, South Carolina, with some scattered storms around that, more of a steady rain mid-Atlantic up to the northeast. And our unsettled, snowy picture in the west moves into the Rockies mostly, and a little bit out into the plains. Heavy snow for New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and a little pocket there in Utah. So get those skis ready. And they've had snow even in southern Arizona. They got half a foot yesterday on Mount Lemmon, which is right outside of Tucson at 9,600 feet. But yeah, they get snow up there, and they have. Severe weather for tomorrow. So general thunderstorms tomorrow, all the way from Houston up into Kentucky, back through the southeast. And then you look all the way down into southern Florida with our marginal risk of severe weather and our slight risk for the Florida Keys. And yes, even a 5% chance of tornadoes, as Rafael is close enough for some spin-ups for the Keys, and a 2% for southern Florida. All right, temperatures tomorrow. These are your anomaly temperatures, and it's really cold. Four Corners, especially Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. And then really warm for the East Coast for your anomaly temperatures. And your highs look like this. So, we're looking at cold temperatures through the Rockies again. And, don't be deceived by those blood red temperatures. I mean, we have 50s and 60s for West Texas. 70s, though, when you get into the Permian Basin and the rest of Texas. A few 80s from, say, Louisiana into Mississippi, and some 80s for Florida. But, a lot of 70s all the way up the coast. So very warm. The Midwest, kind of average, kind of cool. Low 50s, maybe even upper 40s here where I live in western Iowa. Precipitation next couple days, really heavy. Say for Mississippi, into Tennessee, into Kentucky, parts of Indiana and Ohio, and still back towards Missouri and Illinois, Arkansas really in this, and then also Georgia, South Carolina, and also the Florida Keys. So all of these areas could see over 3 inches of rain, approaching 4 in some of them. And then, you get further into the upper Midwest, the rainfall amounts may be up to an inch, a little bit lighter. You get into the Rockies, and a lot of this has fallen as snow, and quite a bit of snow, a couple feet of snow for northern New Mexico, into Colorado, into Wyoming and Montana. And so, watching out for that. Now there is that blank spot, that smiley face in Idaho, so maybe not accumulating snow at least in the next 2 days for the Treasure Valley in the Gem State where Boise is. But I think some snow's coming. All right, surface for Thursday. Snow, New Mexico, heavy into Colorado. And even the rain mix with snow really far south. Into the Sacramento Mountains for sure, but maybe getting into the plains a little bit, like places like Fort Sumner. And then it's thunderstorms across, say, from the southern plains, the central plains, into the southeast, into the Ohio Valley. All right, anomalous temperatures for Thursday. Very much below average for New Mexico, spilling into Arizona and West Texas and Colorado. But the bullseye right there on New Mexico for Thursday. So all week long, just cold in the Four Corners and into West Texas. All right, highs on Thursday, 48 for Lubbock for a high. Wait, do I have this right? Yeah, this is your maximum temperatures ending Thursday at 7 p.m. High in the 40s in West Texas. That's a change as that cold air spills in there now, 81 in Houston. The Republic of Texas, like a whole other country. The 70s for the Southeast for the most part, a few 80s in there. 70s all the way through the mid-Atlantic, even into almost new parts of New York State, transitioning to 60s and Pennsylvania, and then transitioning into 60s and 50s in the Northeast. 50s and 40s for the upper Midwest, Northern Plains, and low 50s for Eugene, for example. All right, we'll go through the highs to get you through the weekend. Remember, guaranteed forecast through the weekend or your time back. Friday, you can just see the trends. We're starting to moderate. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday as things start to warm up in the plains. So here's Friday. Still cool in West Texas and into the central plains, but a little bit warmer northern plains into the upper Midwest, for example, and then those temperatures moderate Saturday and Sunday. Back to Friday, look at the southeast in the 70s and 80s, and that persists through the weekend. In the northeast, we're starting to cool off a little bit as we go Saturday and Sunday. The west stays cool. Here's Friday again, Saturday, Sunday. That cool air starts to shrink back a little bit as things start to moderate through the weekend. All right, 6 to 10 day temperatures. I like this map better. I think we'll start using this. We don't talk about Alaska enough. So our temperatures from November 10th through the 14th are going to be below average for much of Alaska, except for, the peninsula of Alaska, Juneau. Yeah, Juneau. All right, and then Hawaii, much above average. And then, again, we see our trend below average Four Corners, back into California, above average East Coast. Temperature or precipitation wise, much of the lower 48, a good chance of above average precipitation, especially Pacific Northwest. Alaska, a good chance of staying dry until you get into the Aleutians. And for Hawaii, above average precipitation. All right, we done did it. Your forecast through the weekend and beyond. Hurricane Rafael, Cowabunga Dude, again, that's Michelangelo. And, we'll keep you posted as we go, because this active weather pattern is a lot more fun to cover than the boringness we had in October. So we'll do it again tomorrow right here. Thanks for tuning in, the Weather Mike.